What would it take for President Trump to do for you to say, okay, I've been wrong about him. He's actually not as persuasive as I think he was, as I thought he was?
Well, it's going to be hard to judge on any individual case
Okay.
because persuasion is like many things. It's not like I like to use the analogy of Michael Jordan or Stephen Curry. They miss half of their shots,
Right.
but they can still be the greatest basketball player of all time. So if you look at any individual case and you say, wow, it looks like President Trump really missed a shot on that one, I'm willing to say he missed a shot, and I'll give you some examples. He was supportive of Southern statues, the Confederacy statues. In my opinion, that was a layup to say, I think the states should figure this out. To me, it does seem offensive.
Okay.
All right, so to me, that was just money left on the table. He could have agreed with everybody. He said, look, it's a local matter, but if you ask me, I get why this is offensive to some people. Simple. I think in healthcare, there's a whole lot left on the table. I think DACA, that's not working out the way anybody wants it to work out at the moment. Now, all those things I think can go in the right direction, and I think I would expect more likely that they will. But if you ask me what things would I criticize in terms of his persuasiveness, those are the top of the list: immigration, healthcare, Confederate statues, and race relationship, which I think he's turning around in a substantial way. Not enough, but you're seeing a lot of progress to show a more inclusive world. You hear stuff about prison reform. You see more pardons of people who are black and brown that didn't need to happen.
Right.
These were things that were completely optional, and they violate the so-called secret racist whistle that some people imagine they're hearing. Because you wouldn't do those things. You wouldn't issue the pardons that just didn't need to be issued. If you were trying to protect some imaginary base of racists that would hate that sort of thing.
Why do you think it's gotten to the point with so many in the left where it's Robert De Niro screaming "fuck Trump," Samantha Bee calling Ivanka Trump a feckless cunt? It's the most vulgar and kind of histrionic language, which I don't think we've seen before. Why do you think they're acting in this way?
Well, there's a little bit of a perceptual thing. I'm pretty sure if you mined the Twitter feeds of Republicans during Obama's era, that you'd find just horrible, horrible things.
Of course.
So let's first of all say that this is a universal thing, and that you might notice it more based on who's on power. Which Twitter feeds you spend the most time on and who's in power. So some of it is just what you tend to notice. But it does seem to me, and this is purely subjective, I have no data to back up what I'm going to say. This is just a feel for someone who spends a ton of time on social media. And the feeling is that we're having the second big what I'd call a cluster bomb of cognitive dissonance. Okay. The first one happened on election night, when the people who thought they were the smartest people in the country realized they got the single most basic prediction of what's going to happen on election night wrong, and it caused them to imagine all kinds of reasons for it, and there were dozens of reasons people mentioned as like, well, it happened because of Russia, it happened because of sexism, racism, whatever, and as the president performs and does things that people like, the economy is on track, the ISIS caliphate is no more in terms of a geographic entity, and now we see North Korea, and if things continue to go in the right direction in North Korea, it will be one of the most singularly impressive achievements of any president. I mean, it's going to be in the in the historical annals of great acts if it works out. And I think people see that coming because it looks like it is coming, and they're having that second wave of this can't be real, and they're having an emotional reaction that is essentially the difference between how they imagined the world with a president who couldn't get anything right, to living in a world where he got the hardest thing right. And I've got a feeling Iran is next. I have a feeling there are some good things coming in the Middle East, which it would be, of course, the hardest nut to crack after North Korea.
And he said this himself. He goes, this would be the toughest negotiation conceivable. He said this freely during the campaign. What did you think of Hillary and her powers of persuasion, as a candidate?
I thought Hillary had the worst individual powers of persuasion I've ever seen, to the point where a running joke among Trump supporters, and I started this, was that they had a mole doing their tweeting and their commercials. And the idea was that there was some Trump supporter pretending to be a Hillary supporter who was intentionally doing bad tweets for her and bad commercials. So, for example, one of the just classically bad things that she would do is she ran a series of tweets in which she would say, "Imagine a President Trump" in the body of the tweet, and then it would be a link to something that, if you clicked it, would show something bad could happen if you had a President Trump. But of course, the big problem that Trump was trying to solve was, can you even imagine a President Trump?
Right.
And she really helped us imagine that. And most people don't click the link, so all they see is Clinton say, "Hey, imagine President Trump," and we did.
Yeah.
So that's and let me give you my favorite example of that was that both candidates appeared on Saturday Night Live. President Trump, of course, they have to approve any skit they're in at that level. You know, they approve the skit. President Trump approved the skit, or candidate Trump approved the skit in which he was shown as president in the White House, so that we could imagine him being president. Whereas Hillary Clinton imagined, or she approved the skit in which she was a drunk at a bar.
Yeah.
That was her skit. Now, they both had control. Yeah. They could have said no, but that's what you got.